MK, and I am here with another Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches layout. This is the layout the sketch that I will be creating that was designed by Lisa Sikorsky. I apologize for the last name, but I am going to take it into an 8.5 by 11 and actually turn the layout on its side because both of my photos are in the vertical aspect or ratio or however you want to say that. So for my title, I'm going to use hope and dream, and I'm going to use this word yesterday and maybe some of these dots because I'm going to use circle elements instead of heart elements on my layout. I also am going to use some cardstock little elements from this uniquely creative cuts pack that was from the Not Just for Boys Kit Club. So I've pulled out my two little elements that I have picked out. From Tim Holtz, I have some buttons, like campaign buttons that he had a couple years ago, and I just ran them through my die cut machine to flatten them out. I did not like how big and bulky they were, and I thought I would try it because that's why I haven't used any of them, and it worked beautifully. Also from Little Yellow Bicycle, I have this limited edition sticker, and then from Tim Holtz, again, I have these just backdrop papers. I think they're 6x8s. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to use them on my layout. These are the two photos that I have of a very old printing press. And then from P13, I have Free Spirit number 1, and I don't know if Happen is the name of the paper, the individual paper, and Free Spirit is the name of the collection. I'm not really sure, you guys, but those are the words that are written on the branding strip. So I'm going to cut down my blueprint paper, which isn't blue, but it is still a blueprint paper, down to 8.5 by 11. I apologize again for the lighting. I hope this is the last video when I finally figure out how this lighting is going to be. I'm not really sure, you guys. I'm still figuring it out. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Okay, so I'm flipping through my 8 by 6 papers. I think they're 8 by 6. They might even be 9 by 6. They're a little on the long side. I'm flipping through them and just figuring out which ones look like printing press papers, blueprint papers, things like that. And on the packaging, the colors are slightly off. So I was looking for, and I was using the packaging as a guide to looking for specific papers, but I could not find any of them because the coloring was slightly off from what was printed on the package. So I went with these three papers. I'm going to use one to map my photos and then the other one to put as the strips for my layout. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up the edge of this blueprint paper. Just so that way it looks like it was old and worn and it's been around for a couple years. Then I'm going to cut off some skinny strips, probably about 1.25 inches, somewhere in there for my first paper strip. So she's got, Lisa has 4 paper strips, 2 that look like they're supposed to be the same and 2 that look like they're also supposed to be the same. And so that is exactly what I did. Was I made 2 brown prints that looked like they were from an old ad, and then another 2 that these are more on the 2.5-inch side that looked like they were from a typewriter pad. And in fact, that one typewriter up at the top looks just almost like, yep, that's English, the printing press that I am documenting. Now, I don't have a whole lot to say about this printing press. I am just obsessed with how the newspapers and flyers and all that was made back in the day, based off of somebody had actually taken all of these metal pieces or rubber pieces or however the press was designed and wrote down every single letter to represent what they were wanting to say in this newsprint. Now, of course, somebody then actually took ink and inked them up like a huge stamp, and then they took this machine and added the paper to it. So the paper was actually pinned or clamped to the top of the machine, and then somebody sat there and worked the arm to put the paper down on the stamped image. And stamped these out, hundreds of times, 50 times, 80 times, 100 times. I have no idea, depending on the city that this press was actually located in. And so it's just fascinating to me, before computers, that somebody actually took the time to letter by letter put down what they wanted to tell people, whether it was a flyer or a newspaper or an advertisement, something. And they actually took the time to do all that. And then, of course, as printing presses grew on, standard words were made into a solid, like and, the, is, things like that. And then they started coming up with more words, part of words of dictionaries and whatnot, and creating the actual whole word that that the printing press had to actually purchase from another company, to make their lives easier. And then the people would just look for the words to put instead of letter by letter like they used to. So it's just fascinating to me, knowing that that's how we used to do it back in the day. Can you imagine going back to that? For one, I think it would be amazing. But for two, oh, wow. So the way that I set up my papers was to make sure that that upper image on that Tim Holtz paper actually was part of my my design. I wanted it to be included in, that's upside down, girl. Thank you. I wanted it to be included in my cluster that I'm going to put up there, because like I said, when I flipped it, now the hearts are going from the upper right down into the lower left. And so that's how my clusters are going to flow as well. But I wanted that specific printing press that is printed on Tim's paper to be part of that cluster. And so I just flipped the papers around to make that happen. And then, of course, I have what's left of the stand that the other printer typewriter was on is down at the bottom. And that really won't be seen a whole lot because that's where my title is going to go. I thought my title was going to go up at the top because I have a lot more dead space in that right side photo. But I decided to put it down at the bottom. And of course I used, limited edition yesterday, because this was our yesterday. This is what we did back in the day. And of course I don't have a sticker that says back in the day. So yesterday is as close as I'm going to get for it. And I did actually have an argument with myself of whether or not that made sense. But I have to say that, yeah, it does make sense. It does work out perfectly fine. The way that it goes, because I already said it, this was our yesterday. So I'm going to go ahead, super simple, quick little embellishing going on. Like I said, I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm just obsessed with printing presses, even the nowadays printing presses. I really am. And I did go with circles instead of hearts. So I've got all of my little campaign badges, union badges, whatever they're called. And then, of course, my 2 cardstock, 21 and this really cool star. And then to finish off the dot aspect, I brought in my glitter dots from the alpha set that I used, or the alpha word set, a thicker set that I used, just to have that going around a little bit more. I am going to cut off that little bit from the star so it fits perfectly in my page protector. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really, truly appreciate it. Like I said, I am in love with joining Christy for her 30 days of sketches. And go over and check out her YouTube channel. Give her a shout out, thanking her for doing this 3 times a month, because it does take quite a bit of time to put together. And that's probably why they're spread out 3 times a year instead of every month. Lisa, thank you so much for a great design of your sketch today and allowing us to use it. I appreciate it. And don't forget to check out the playlist for everyone that is playing along with Christy and her 30 days of sketches. All right, you guys, thank you so much, and I'll check y'all later. Bye.